Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. Tonight's episode, Xtreme TV. We are covering on Season 1 Sundays. Tonight, Season 1 of Ricky Gervais' show, hit show, I should say, of Afterlife episodes 3 and 4. With me, I have the real RDV, who helped me cover 1 and 2 a few days back. And with the holidays, we've got our third entrant coming in as well, and that's Professor Pixel. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Doing good.
Peachy keen, I guess.
We're doing better than Tony.
I don't know who Tony... well, we'll talk
I'm
about
right
that.
there with him.
Well, Afterlife, Pixel, I know you had some commitments when we were doing the first one, but you're a big fan of the show, so the three of us should have some fun things to talk about. It's a comedy show starring Ricky Gervais, who I've not really seen anything too much of except for the show. Somebody else had recommended it to me. We had talked about it, and we started watching the first 2 episodes, and I got to say, they're quick to watch, easily digestible. There's a lot of wit and wittiness to it, and a certain amount of charm I think is building, which is one of the things I want to talk about. So for my initial impressions of episodes 3 and 4, I gotta say I like them. I like how we're starting to see some of the same patterns and characters that we saw in the first 2 episodes, and I appreciate how right now there's not like a big plot device like they have to go find the McWishy thingy, something sort of like maybe in a blockbuster movie that is on Catwoman level of bad. And this is just a topical show that deals with the development and the relationships that he has. So, Doctor, I'm going to start with you first, since you were here last week before we get on to Pixel. What are your initial thoughts?
Show is awesome. It's perfect. I mean, 30 minutes. It's perfect for this kind of show. I'm not really a fan of 40 minutes, and because a lot of times you get a 40-minute episode, and it's just 15 minutes of filler to actually get to the advance the plot. So
I agree. Like it runs out of steam.
Yeah. So. When, like I said, this is a dark comedy. It'd probably dark comedy / drama. He's not. I don't know. And don't get me wrong when I say dark comedy. He's not making fun of people that are depressed and stuff. No, it's just that people like this, when they lose someone, you've been together with someone for 25 years, and like I said, like he doesn't believe in God, and all stuff. It hit him so hard because she died of breast cancer. So, and he's just got his dog. He's just not really excited to live without her, and like he even brings it up, and I believe it's in this episode or the next episode. He talks about I don't believe in afterlife, because I'd rather be nowhere than be without her. It's yeah. And
I'll ask you a serious question about that here once we dive deep into it. But what about you, Pixel? What are your quick initial thoughts?
I really do enjoy this show. It's one of the few shows that can make me laugh out loud, but at the same time, I'm
ready to cry.
It does hit you. Yeah, it is very down on life, and it can get heavy. But I really do enjoy it.
You know what's funny about that though, Pixel, is that when he gets in those emotional moments, the things he says back to people, you almost kind of agree with him a little bit, because he's not crazy, he's not irrational.
The whole thing is that he's an asshole, but being an asshole doesn't make you wrong; it just makes you an asshole.
Well, I would say he's not an asshole. I would say he's acting out, and that's one of the things that's actually thrown me off now that I've got 4 episodes down out of the 6 for season 1, and it's this. I've always said, like with horror, there's no such thing as a horror comedy, because if something's funny, it can't be horrific. Therefore, that doesn't work. And I've also said too before, dark comedy usually just means it's a comedy because it's funny, but there's adult themes. To me, when you watch the first 2 episodes and you're starting to get into it, like me, someone that's not too familiar with that, it does have, I suppose, maybe a British sense of humor to it, even though I think Ricky's somewhat Americanized, I guess. We're dealing with a universal theme here too. So, yeah, you have your touching moments where he's watching videos of his wife, and there's just enough of these clips that he's watching, because each of the clips are new and whatever, it's old videos and stuff, where it has to do with the lesson of the episode, which is nice. The problem I'm having is the first 2 episodes seemed a bit dark, and the fact that he used this grieving period where he talks about killing himself to have the superpower of having no filter and just being an asshole to everybody. The way he would cuss and all that too is just tremendous. And like, in the first episodes, there's a scene where he's walking by the playground where the kids are in there, and the one kid, he's like, hey pedo, and he's like, I'm not, but if I were, you'd be safe, and he just rips him one. And you're like, oh my God, did I just get that? Because you don't get that level of intensity typically, unless it's a one-off or whatever, especially in today's world. But in 3 and 4, I think that the show's obviously taking a more wholesome, nicer, swell approach, because now you're getting to some deeper levels, like with the introduction of the sex worker, we'll call it, the prostitute in this particular episode, as well as his continuing relationship with the guy that sold him drugs but then robbed him, which I thought was hysterical.
I've also noticed that with each episode, he talks to that lady whose husband is dead. He meets her at the cemetery, and she basically, like I said, she's his Jiminy Cricket. She gives him advice. He's like, it's like, and she keeps reminding him, hey, you're not the only one with problems. You never know what's going on behind. It's like, so, and she's like, and she says, like, the whole afterlife thing. It's like, it's like, well, I'd rather be a nice person. We should all be nice to each other here, because once it's over, it's over. Like, we should all be the best ourselves, and stuff. But I love it. She's also like kind of like vulgar like him a little bit too, though. Like she almost like a Judi Dench. Like, she can play straight up, and then she can switch to comedy really easily. It's like, what the heck? But I agree with you. It's getting old. As each episode goes on, you're seeing him like the Grinch. His heart's starting to grow a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
bigger.
No, absolutely.
And I think that's the way Ricky wanted to see that, because like he wanted to let people know there is kind of hope. You may lose someone. It may take time, heals, but everyone's different. So, but he wants. This show almost feels like it started off at the worst point. He's ready to kill himself. The dog saves him. And he's starting to see like there's more to life, he can, especially, and he's flirting with the nurse a little bit too. She perks him up when she's by the dad. At first he was an ass to her, but he apologized. Even the woman tells him at the cemetery, she says, apologize. He's like, for what? I didn't do anything. Just apologize. Just, it's like, okay, whatever. And like I said, he's building relationships. He's trying to just get better. He admits, it's more comfortable. I'm more comfortable. It's easier to be like an ass and like be depressed all the time because I'm used to that. Going on the comfort zone is hard. And his relationship he's building with the prostitute or sex worker, and she keeps correcting him. Yep. He's treating her like a human being. You also got him. He's still depressed. He still watches the videos of his wife, but like you said, he's remembering things. He's always going to have that. And that's the thing about people who lose their spouse. They're really in love. You're never going to forget them. You're always going to have that hole in your heart. But you may find someone to temporarily fill it, or maybe even just distract you. Or as you said, like everyone's different, but I get. The key things I noticed, and I love this, and they keep going back, is him talking to the woman in the cemetery, talking to the drug addict, talking to the sex worker, and then talking to the stupid therapist.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Well, I was saying that's basically what you were saying before, Rob. It has patterns. Is the things that he goes through every single day, like the mailman.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just Tony's first time interacting with him rubbed the mailman the wrong way, because now he'll do anything he can to avoid putting it through the mail slot.
Well, here's the thing about this episode. Yeah, he hires the sex worker who's a very large, plump blonde who might be cute in the face. I don't think she's wearing a fat suit. And of course, she knows the drug dealer and all that. So he hires her. She comes to the house, and he's just basically wants her to be a maid. But then, of course, she comes back later and cleans it for free. And it's like, I'm having some issues with the show because I enjoy his performance and I'm liking it. And I believe, based off of what I've seen, this is going to be very, very wholesome, which I think it could be more wholesome if it was just darker and a bit more serious through it. Because in the first, I think it was in the second episode, we were talking about this too, and Pixel, we were on for it. When he makes like he's going to slit his wrist in the bathtub, and his dog comes over and just puts his head on the bathtub or whatever, and he kind of stops or whatever. And I'm like, that's pretty dark. And I'm not a fan of suicide, obviously who is, but it's a big tension thing. So a part of me wants to feel sorry for Ricky's character. I don't when he acts like that, and I understand him being mopey and being depressed. I would appreciate that a bit more, because I think most people appreciate loss and have dealt with it in some form or another. But the suicidal thing, I don't like. So I think since about that point, the show's kind of said, okay, we're going to tone down a little bit of the I'm going to be an asshole, this is my superpower thing, which I thought was a great hook and would like to have seen that more, because now, we said, the Jiminy Cricket lady, Anne, that he talks to, they have a great exchange. I think it's in episode 4 where she's like, where she describes it. She's like, "Oh, you make somebody happy. You're a smart ass, or that you're smart, blah blah blah." And he goes, "You forgot sexy," and she laughs. And then he says, "Oh, if you were 20 years younger," and she goes laughs, and then she goes, "Yeah, I'd probably find somebody better." And I'm like, that was a really cute exchange. And I'm going, God, it's almost getting to be like a warm fuzzy. I mean, and even the comedy show that they go to, his boss Matt, which I think is his brother-in-law or was, or I guess technically, they go to this comedy show and a guy calls on him and, "Oh, what's your problem, mate? You're not laughing." "Oh, I just lost my wife and I feel like killing myself." And we know that, we get it, but that just wasn't a good scene to me. So the show's good, but it's pulling me in directions that maybe I wasn't expecting it to be. So I'm not quite sure about it yet. So I don't know if episodes 5 and 6 will put all this together. What do you think about
the comedies?
I feel like that comedy scene was it was kind of necessary. I feel like, because afterwards the brother-in-law tells him just flat out that I don't know how I can do this anymore. You're making it so hard. I'm doing my best, but I can't always be there. I can't always make you happy. There is no need for you to do that. And I think on some level, while Tony is still trying to act like an asshole through it, he does understand. He does get it.
There's a key thing that the brother-in-law says. He's like, "I'm doing this with Candy, but I'm not. I'm basically not gonna let you be around George, and like, he's like, I got my own problems at home I'm dealing with, while trying to cheer you up, keep you from killing yourself." So obviously he's under stress. Something else is happening at home that we don't know about.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Yes. So so he's got and so he's got and it also falls into the whole plot. As she said, you're so focused on yourself and being walling in self-pity and all this stuff and being an ass that you're ignoring what's going around the world around you. So when his brother-in-law says that, he kind of gets him a little bit. It's like he's like, "Hey, maybe we should tone it down a little bit." And he's like, because and he said his interaction with the nurse is also opening up his heart as well, especially and also with Sandy, the new trainee. He starts opening up to her more, and starts doing stuff with her. And they even have a scene in there where she basically tells him, like, she starts breaking down because she starts crying. He's like, "I just want you to be happy. You're making me so sad." And he kind of like starts realizing that he needs try to get through just because there are people that care about him. It's just. But
there's also the scene in this episode where he tries to, after watching, the video of his wife at the beach, where he tries to, it flashes between the video and him, where he's like, no, when she's calling for him to come out into the ocean, and then flashes to present Tony, and he tries to just walk in there.
Well, he's not, and I didn't get the impression that he's trying to kill himself. He just goes in there because he gets back up. The dog comes in after him too. The dog's not sure what's going on because he's already caught him doing it. He's worried about him. But he goes in there. I think that's also a metaphorical scene as far as him going in there, becoming a new person, going in.
Well, I really felt like he was trying to just go out there and let the ocean carry him away.
Well,
But
they left it up for your interpretation, I think, because I didn't get the vibe he was, but I go, oh, the show's going this way, and this is what I mean by it's trying to, I think, pull the viewer in a couple of different things, and we get that he's going to make it heartwarming and heartfelt, but it can only, something that can only be heartwarming and heartfelt if you do have a lot of tragedy. We did not know his wife. You know, it does seem like she's very loving. She's giving her a positive message. They seem like they had a great thing going.
Well, yeah.
But there's not really a lot of loss in the show. It's just the way somebody's dealing with it. And I think they make it hard by the suicidal constant talk rather than just what do I have to live for? I really enjoyed it with my wife, and it's not a criticism in the sense that I think it's a negative thing. I just think for me watching it, it makes me like it less than what I probably would, and I do enjoy the show. It's surprisingly good. I wasn't expecting much, but like I see, these episodes were pretty good. I did enjoy them, but it's almost to a point where after episode 4, I'm looking at all this and he goes on a blind date with a woman that's really horrible, and I just wish he was a bit more caustic and sarcastic with this lady because she was just a piece of work. And then the subplot of these guys on motorcycles robbing people. Well, so they try to rob when they're leaving, when they're in or saying goodbye or whatever, and he ends up with a hammer. And so that's going to factor into something. I don't know when, but it's the point now I go, okay, the show's not funny because I'm not shocked at his level of sarcasm and bitterness with his wife dying that he's acting out against people, because I thought he would really amp it up. And now instead of the mailman being confrontational, it seems like it's just a game of one-upsmanship. So, it's a lot more hearted. And I wish there was like a bad guy or one or two people that you go, man, this guy's really is a jerk. I'm glad he's just an asshole to him. It would seem like it would be a bit more realistic to me. So I'm bagging on, but what do you guys think?
So basically you want to amp it up and just start screaming at someone?
No, it's just the level, the really sarcastic, like, oh my God, he really is being a jerk to this person. I don't know that he's being a jerk. I just think he's, doesn't tolerate stupidity well. I think he's not cranky like he didn't have breakfast or whatever, but it's like the mailman. If my mailman was reading my stuff, I'd be lighting him a new one too, and I wouldn't feel bad about it.
I think he's just at that point. He doesn't just give a crap anymore. So he does what he wants. It's the whole point of the whole show. He's at that point. He's ready to kill himself. He jokes about it, but at that point, he's serious though. He's not even gonna come up with a joke. He's serious behind those jokes.
But if he's serious about it, then the show shouldn't be funny, and that's why I'm having a problem with it, because the show doesn't feel like a comedy or a drama to me. It feels like a comedy.
I said it. It's a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's tough. No, it's well written. I do enjoy it. I'm not complaining about it. I don't want to come across that way, although it may seem. But still,
remember, if you watch the video, she says like, "You were a sweet, kind, Carrie Manuel, you were just happy to sit on the couch with the dog." He's like, "Look at me, I'm sitting on the couch with the dog." And he was an upbeat person. Now he's just a bitter, cranky, and I'm assuming this is from my belief from this. The people he works with, he never used to treat him that way. So now all of a sudden he's just treating him that way. Where especially with Kathy, Kath, the one comes up and annoys him all the time. It's just.
She's probably got smoking hot body. We just don't get to see it yet. She's got that weirdo look and dressed to her.
Yeah. So I said like Kath she's just those people. She almost comes off a person that's desperate for attention. That's her character. You're looking at. You got where Sandy, who's just a new person. She's just working on. If she's coming from a small town, there can't be much to do around there. So just trying to get out and then try to leave the town. Maybe she's there.
Right.
Well, I think it's in the first episode that the brother-in-law warns. You said her name's Sandy. I forgot that.
Which was really out of character. It's like there's no way that not out of character, but I'm saying that's unrealistic. There's like you not tell him. Yeah, just don't mind a guy. He just says a lot of derogatory things. And he brings up to the episode. He talks about sexual harassment and all that stuff. It's like he tells him, "It's like I don't care." And no one there seems like they're gonna file sexual harassment. That's the thing, though.
I watch the British version of The Office, and a lot of people I know who've watched that and the American version say that the British one's better. And I think the American one's very good, and it's excellent in some parts. We got to kind of see a similar thing with Michael Scott, who I want to say for a season or two was actually very unlikable. Like you'd get mad because he was being a really jerk boss, a real and it was weird because of the way that the tone shifted in the office with some of the seasons and stuff. And of course, you knew Jim and Pam were going to hook up, but of course, it was the journey to get there that was really the big thing. And so in here, I'm looking at it going, well, I don't really hate anybody. I don't mind the side characters because that's what they are, but it just seems like they're there for whatever really cutesy kind of lesson we're going to get. And that's not a bad thing, but I'm looking at it going, I feel like I'm missing something. So I don't know if something's going to happen in episode 5, 6. I think in these 2 episodes here, the drug dealer that he's almost becoming friends with, who's hooking up with the heroin, even though he robbed him, they kind of bond a little bit because they have some conversations. You're like, okay, I can understand it. Everyone's got more than one side to him potentially, but then he ODs and you're like, okay, I get it. That's what drug dealers do. So I don't know. What were you gonna say, Pixel?
Yeah, I think that's going to factor in the next episode. I don't think he's going to take that very well.
Yeah. Well, people react to grief in different ways, and it takes a certain amount of periods. And it's not really a show that we're trying to, get too deep on, like in a negative thing. What I would say is that when people grieve in their own way, it comes out differently. So I don't know that he is an asshole. Maybe he seems like a bit of a schlub the way his wife describes him in the videos that he watches. Not that he's anything wrong, but hey, sitting on a couch with your dog watching TV with the missus is like the best thing. And you do get to see, I think the warmest part of the show is actually in the videos, not when his wife's knows she's sick and she looks despondent and is basically trying to perk him up and give him a lesson. It's when he plays a joke on there and they're both just kind of laughing and having a good time. That's where the real love is in the show, and that's when it feels the most wholesome to me. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go. I will say this though, well, I didn't talk about it too much, but I'll get it out now, and this will be my final thoughts. I really, really like the dog in here because, again, it's one of those things where it's an excuse to live, to take care of something that's not your own. It's, something outside your control. So the dog looks to you for something, and the dog's getting just enough airtime where I'm really vibing on it. And I think, of course, it's like, the hero's journey. He has to overcome a lot of obstacles to get what he could maybe get in the future, as far as happiness or a sense of, okay, life's worth living and everything else there too. Now that I've lost something, what do I do about it? So hopefully, nothing will happen to the dog in a negative way, and we'll continue that because I'm really looking forward to the last 2 episodes of the season and then checking out season 2. What about your last thoughts, guys?
Let Pixel go first.
Go ahead, Pixel.
For my final thoughts,
You're younger than us, by the way, just so our audience knows that. It's interesting if you have different takes on it. So I can't imagine at your age in my early 20s, allegedly, me watching a show like this. I don't think I would have unless I knew the comedian or the actor in it and was really a fan of theirs. So otherwise, I wouldn't even watch this now. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
No. I mean, it honestly is kind of up my alley because while I do appreciate the serious notes that it takes, while also trying to remain a comedy. So whenever he's talking about offing himself, I don't take that as a joke. I know he is joking around about it, but you're not. That part we've talked about it a lot. We're not supposed to take that as the joke. The situations can be quite funny.
Yep.
I mean, we're 4 episodes in. I can't help but think about that second episode whenever the one lady from work comes up and starts talking about a dinner party. Yeah, I was laughing out loud. But this show manages to balance the comedic elements while keeping the serious tones that you're supposed to the entire way through. I feel like it balances it really well.
Yeah, it's tough to do. It's tough to do with the nature of the subject matter, because even here, the side character, the guy at work that hit on the dead dude's wife or whatever, the kid with the 2 recorders in his nose, he's talking about she comes to the office and he talks about how she loves this fat on the back of his neck. They're making fun of him and all this stuff. But you can tell he's a guy that's like, yeah, I don't really care what you think. I'm happy, and that's what counts. So be interesting to see what develops with that, because that's obviously going somewhere, I would think, too. But yeah, that was a funny scene also. What about you, RD? What are your final thoughts?
Well, final thoughts is that this is a really dark episode, and ending too. Saying out Julian, who he finds out that the reason he's an addict because his wife was an addict and she passed away. That's why he's living in the garage. He does this, the drugs, but he can never afford enough money to actually kill himself so he can be with his wife. So we get Tony become sympathetic because he realizes that hey, this guy's just like me, but he actually wants to do it more. And he will do it possibly. So he gives him enough money to basically, he's like, if I give you, enough money, would you do it? It's like, probably, yeah. How much would, he's asked him, how much would it take? So he gives him the money. So obviously Julian, we're left basically at the cliffhanger. Did Julian take the money and he took the money, but did he go and OD? We do see him in the, obviously he must, because we see him at the last clip, him going into his on his mattress in the garage, injecting himself with heroin. So
you bring up a good point with that. So let me just follow up with this. I'm assuming he's not lying, and because he knows that this guy's wife died, I assume. But I thought he delivered it well. Yeah, my wife died, and all that. So I think you bring up a really, really good point on all that. But I don't know. It's you just don't know what the side characters, what their role is going to be, and I guess that's the one thing I do like about. So even though this guy's a junkie, he's a bum, and all that too. It is kind of amazing how it seems like it can pivot just kind of on the dime there too. So do you think the guy's lying to him?
Well, as far as the Julian, no, because the prostitute or the sex worker, she's the one that told him that the reason he's an addict is because his wife was an addict and she passed on.
Yeah.
So and he said he's basically, as I said, you guys have a lot more common than you think. So once he starts talking more to Julian and Julian laments because his wife is an addict, so and Tony kind of looks at it, he's like, yes, let's sympathy for her death, playing that some people may be even relieved that she died, she's a druggie, where my wife died of cancer. But Julian also they want to go on and insist that he's less inclined to resist suicidal impulses.
Mm-hmm. So
and then Tony basically give him the money, hands him. It's basically like a nihilistic outlook on life. It's like, I was like, fuck the world. I'm gonna let this guy be happy. If he wants to kill himself to be with his wife, let him fucking do it. I
agree with you on that. To me, he's helping out. He's honoring his mate's wish or whatever like that, and I get it. That's cool. Yeah. So I didn't really have a problem with that. It makes sense.
But it leaves you with that that moral debate. Was Tony right in doing this, or was Tony in the wrong mind and shouldn't have done this? Because they both were reinforcing each other's depression. That's why they're getting high together and getting drug stuff. Julian couldn't do it, where Tony was actually choosing to do drugs.
Yeah, and I think everybody's got their own thoughts about that.
So I'd say for people who are watching the comments, and people are watching now in the comments, leave what you think it was. Do you think Tony was right in doing this, or explain why you thought he was wrong? Or if you don't have opinion, I guess. But yeah, I mean, personally, it's like, that's one of the things up in the mind is like, I kind of feel I'm kind of pissed at Tony for doing this, but I also understand that Tony's not in his right mind. Tony's suicidal himself, and they're doing drugs, so he kind of maybe realized, or I guess he didn't know, he just didn't say. I mean, he said the attitude, "Fuck it, I don't care anymore." And he's trying to say, because he believes that life is just one giant cosmic joke. You took away my best thing in my life. Now I have no purpose. So yeah, that's how it ends. It's like that. That's a really dark ending, like a little cliffhanger till the next till Tuesday, I believe we're gonna review this again, or Sunday. But
we'll get them up here really soon. I'm really looking forward to 5 and 6 and finish that up. It has been a great show so far. I'm really surprised and impressed by how sharp the dialogue is and how quick the episodes have gone. They're only like 30 minutes or so too. And actually, you mentioned how there's a lot of good things about it that you enjoy too. So overall, I'm glad we're all having a positive reaction to it. It's rare that we can find something we all just generally agree on how good it is. So good stuff there, guys. Thanks for showing up. We'll get episodes 5 and 6 at the end of season 1 of Afterlife up here soon. Everybody listening, take care. Good night. And as always, stay extreme.